This is Polygala myrtifolia, sweet pea shrub, and it has a lot of burn. Plant's very much alive, but it obviously got pushed to the edge of its comfort. So this one we're going to want to leave this dead foliage on there until spring, which is around March, and then we'll trim it and clean it up. But that's going to serve as a protecting layer until things warm up. This is Polygala myrtifolia, and it's a large sweet pea shrub, and you can see on top that it has a lot of burn from the winter. So again, this is mid-March, and we've got an early spring, so it's warm enough that I feel safe bringing this, pruning this and getting it going again. So I'll show you how I want to prune this to set it up for the rest of this year. First thing I want to figure out here is where I'm going to attack this thing for pruning. So I want to assess where the damage is, where there's dead wood that isn't viable anymore. And then once I assess that, that'll tell me where I'm going to start pruning back to. As I noted before, if you're going to prune these things, you want to prune on this plant probably 12 to 18 inches below the level you want it to grow up to. Now you can see here that it grows up to that level. That's about 8 feet high, and you can also see there's greenery right about 2 feet lower than that. So I'm probably going to go back generally in that zone, but I'm going to take a closer look to see if the wood is damaged. You can see right here that this wood has split. The cambium has split and pulled away from the center of the branch, and that's not a good thing. So I really don't want to leave too much of the wood behind that has that type of damage, because long term that's not the best thing for the plant. You see here, this split here, very common when you get severe cold and it exceeds what the plant really wants to handle, is the splitting of the cambium. So I'm going to, but you can also see that above that there's a lot of green. So this cambium is still alive and active and pushing new growth, but I want to kind of assess whether it's pulling away like I see here. I really don't like that. And this is such a vigorous plant, I'm more inclined to take the plant down pretty far and let it grow back out of that, not leaving too much of the damaged wood behind. So that's what I think I'm going to do. Look at this piece of stem that I cut off, and see how the cambium literally is just coming off the wood. So that's the stem there. So this is not good long term for that plant. It'll regenerate to some degree, but you're better off if you're able to remove that to do so. Okay, so I've pruned this Polygala myrtifolia pretty severely, and as I mentioned, I want you to see some of this damage. You see how this limb still has this split in the cambium there, but this larger one over here does not. Well, obviously we'd prefer that none of them do, but if I were to take that piece out, this whole side would really have a problem and be very imbalanced. So I'm willing to live with that side because it still has a lot of growth that it can push on this side as well. I looked at that before I made that cut. So you can see that I didn't just top this thing, it has some different elevations. And one of the things to remember when pruning, these buds that are closest to the cut are all going to push, and they're going to push hard. So you're going to have a cluster where these are going to grow the fastest nearest the cut and fill in. And this interior area won't do a whole lot. So it's also a good idea when you've pruned it this severely to come back in a month or two and thin out some of those so that those clusters aren't so jammed together, and that you kind of cull out the ones that aren't necessary and leave the strongest ones that are doing what you want behind. Alright, so that is how we prune something that has had some pretty severe frost damage, reshape it, and get it ready for this year.